Good evening, Guy. How are you?
Great to be here. It's really an honor to be here. It's a beautiful festival in this beautiful city.
Okay, so Guy, we're here in this amazing scena, and we're here in Eilat, in the Red Sea, and we're about to speak about startups and innovation. I want to start by speaking about you a little bit personally to get to know you, if that's okay.
Let's get personal.
Let's get personal, okay. So, a few words about where were you born?
I was born in Assuta Hospital in Tel Aviv. I was raised in Ramat HaSharon. That's more about it.
And did you come from a technical background? Did somebody in your family start a company or was involved in a startup?
No, actually no. Both of my parents were independent. My mother was working in the movie industry. My father was mostly working in sales. My house was there was always a lot of things going on. And I think part of them being independent made me probably go in the same way.
Tell me if there is something, any advice that you can take back into the past and go meet yourself when you were young. What would that advice be?
First, I would say I should create a social network. It might work. But I would tell myself to learn as many languages as I can, more than everything, because it brings you new opportunities. It opens you worldwide. So if I would meet myself now in my 6 years old, I would tell just go and study more than everything, as much languages as you can.
We all know that the best ideas come up in the shower. For most people. When did you come up with your idea?
Actually, I was drunk in a bar, but my wife here all the time laughs at me that I take too long showers thinking about everything. Easy2Give, it was June 2012, summertime, the beginning of the wedding season. In Israel, 70% out of the weddings are occurring in the high season in 5 months during the year. And me and him, we sat together and we were amazed. We already been after 5 weddings. We've been at 5 weddings and we had ahead of us another around 5 weddings. And we talked about how can it be that in such an advanced country, we always grant monetary gifts. When we're attending an event, we have to go suddenly decades backwards, finding a bank check or going to an ATM. We thought it's too complicated. Financially, it's not convenient. And we start to analyze the idea, how can we combine two things that are going on here. First, Israelis, they love purchasing credit card. We use credit card in anything we do. Second, when we're attending at events, we always bring monetary gift. It would be weird to come with a set of glasses like they do in America. So we just thought what would be the best way to combine the two together, and this is how we thought about Easy2Give. We were drunk.
Drunk in a bar, okay. Tell me, when you speak out of your experience as an entrepreneur, what is the one personality trait? What do you think is special or an entrepreneur needs to have in his personality in order to be a good entrepreneur?
I would say out of many important things, one thing that he should for sure have to have, it will be consistency. I'll tell you, startup is a dream. It's something that for sure at the beginning you sell. You want people to believe in what you see. And eventually when you start to go in that road, there is a lot of up and downs. And if you're not consistent, if you're not consistent, if you don't have this characteristic in yourself, then eventually your dream will die with you. Because you're the one bringing it to it, the motivation. You're the one moving it forward. So if to be one thing, probably it will be that.
To be consistent. Okay. I want to talk about the moment that you realized that your dream is becoming a real business. That moment, that point of time.
I would say that the answer to that is in the question, and I'll explain. As I said just now, you have an idea, and the idea is becoming to reality as a startup. But a startup, it doesn't have to have any incomes. It doesn't have to have sales. It can have only expenses, and it will be very logical because it's a startup and it's on the way for something bigger. But it turns into a business when suddenly the dream ends and the reality begins, and you start to have incomes and sales and goals to achieve and budget, expenses to take in consideration. So I think for myself, I mean, we started the whole thing in 2013, in January 2013. I think in around the middle of 2015, I mean, I had 2.5 years of working on air, and then it went forward. I mean, it became something, and this starting being something means that I started to have more worries, but it became a business. Now it has to become a good business as well, a profit one.
Okay. I want to talk about 2 points. One point is, what do you think a startup founder should never do?
What do I think? Okay, I will answer it by a story of someone I know very well. I mean, he told me that story a long time ago, and it's kind of sticked with me. There are a few things I wouldn't do, but I'll go with this one. This person is a very rich Canadian person, and he has a lot of properties in Canada, real estate. And suddenly he got a proposal from the richest family in the world. They wanted to due diligence him. They wanted to check if they can go, I mean, to make a joint venture with him, eventually to become partner. Actually, he was elected to be the only partner they will have in the world, one of the most richest family in the world. And he was all excited about it, and there was this guy they sent over to him, and it was a process of 1 year that they went along together to all of his properties in Canada. Jet planes, driving. Remember, he told me they gave him a Jewish name. It was a fake name. And they had a real process. Just keep in mind that for a company, especially a startup, but any company, to go to a due diligence, I mean, to go to a process like that, and I mean, it takes from you a lot of energies and a lot of expectations, and it's a process. And they suddenly disappeared. They vanished. He was mad. He thought about maybe suing them. He didn't understand. It was a huge opportunity. They suddenly just vanished. I mean, the whole deal was off. And it's a huge deal. And I remember he told me that he thought about acting like the typical person will act. Myself, anyone probably around here. And somehow he didn't. He kept it in. And 6 months later, they got back to him, and today they are partners. I mean, the biggest family, the most richest family in the world. So I think I will control your temper. I will say that will be the one thing. I mean, things don't necessarily go as you're expecting them to go. There is a lot of, I mean, I will explain more about it for one, but it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur. You have a lot of things on your shoulders, a lot of responsibility, a lot of thinking, a lot of things that you want. I mean, you want them to happen, and most of the time, actually, they don't. So you have to stay cool.
So your recommendation is never lose your temper. And I was about to ask, what's the one thing you wanna to do? So that kind of answered both questions. Let's move on to a yes/no question. This is a short answer, quick answer round. So let's do that. Bootstrapping or investors for early stage, which means for those of you who don't know, should I sponsor and pay for my own startup myself, or should I go raise money? So quick answer.
Better it will be my own financing, but depends how big it is. You know, it doesn't necessarily. I have no short answers. I should have told you that beforehand. But I would say bootstraps. But if it's doable, I mean,
if you must and you have no, and everything works, then bootstrap.
if everything works.
Okay. Next question: vanilla or chocolate ice cream?
It's easy as long as it's ice cream. I don't care, but mostly I'm a Snickers kind of guy, you know.
Snickers. From a hiring perspective, you want to hire someone to be your employee in your company. What would you prefer? Diplomas and degrees or experience?
I can write a book about it, and my answer for sure will be experience.
Experience, okay. Which reality TV show would you prefer?
Wow.
Survivor or The Bachelor?
No, I don't do realities. Wow. Oh, no, listen, it was one of the most challenging things I had to go through. I mean, it's a really difficult time. No doubt I'll choose Survivor. I mean, 27 women, one house, it's much more difficult. I prefer a deserted island.
Which business model would you prefer? B2B or B2C? To work with businesses, to work with clients?
First, we are doing B2B2C. We're approaching venues, approaching their customers, so I would say B2B2, but generally I prefer B2C. It's more personal, it's more about touching a person, touching his problem, trying to solve his problem. I prefer B2C.
Last question for the quick answer round. Are you an early morning person or a late night person?
Sadly for myself today I'm both, but it's important. I came from the nightlife. After army, that's what I did. I mean, I had clubs, bars in Tel Aviv. I did some other stuff as well, but it became for me maybe being hyperactive as well, that I live at nightlife. Today I have to be awake at morning time as well, so it's both.
So let's go to the next session, which is your current activities. So tell us in 2 minutes the vision for, or 1 minute, in the vision for Easy2Give.
Okay. Easy2Give, as I see it, it came out of a need. We are very progressing. Our culture, looking the event industry is progressing, but coming to the gifting part, it's actually becoming primitive. We're at the same area as we were decades ago. So I would say first thing, we came here to make things more simple, more easy to use, more fun to use. And I would do it my first goal, it was very important for me, it would be a blue and white product. Our next thing will be doing it worldwide, because apparently everywhere in the world, the method kind of stayed behind.
Okay. And if we talk about what would you define the big jump or the leap? If you had a leap in your business, what was that leap? Can you put your finger on it?
Yeah, I would say, as I said before, I think, I can think of several things that for me were a thing. It was a leap. But I think the major one of them, I think the blessing, I have some other entrepreneurs who are doing the same road, each one with his product. And I think the most exciting thing for me was when we started to have incomes, when people started to use our product, when we really understood that we are solving some kind of a problem, and people believe us. So I would say the biggest thing was that we started to move forward, we started to have sale, and we started to be business-wise. There were some other things that were very exciting, but this will be the one thing.
I want to talk to you about social involvement for a second. right? Do you think that every company, every startup should have a social involvement part of their strategy?
I think, look, it's not necessary. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessary that way. But I think it will be actually the benefit of the company itself if they will think that way. I mean, if it will think that way. Why? Because once when you are involved and you are inflecting your environment, so it's like a magnet, and it pulls back to you. So thinking about environmental, thinking about being involved, thinking about making a change, usually pays back. Still, there are very good startups, very successful ones that don't do nothing about it, but I would prefer it that way.
Let's talk about your personal why. What motivates you?
My personal why. So first, I think everyone around here have to look at, if you didn't hear about it, Simon Sinek lecturing in TED about the how, why, and what. It's a must-known lecture for any entrepreneur, a person who's just, he likes the field. It's very interesting, and he explains over there why Apple succeeded where Dell failed or didn't succeed that way, or why Martin Luther King wasn't the only black person knows how to speak good English, being educated, being able to pull out in the middle of August in the summertime millions of people out in the street. And because people don't buy what you do, they buy what you believe in. So my why would be, I would say today, I mean, we have done, it came to the understanding for us that we have to focus in the problem in the field, which will be Easy2Give today looks at the couple as the main of the industry, while most businesses in our field, America and in Israel, look at the business part being in the center, and they solve problems to businesses, and by that they are penetrating themselves into the industry. So we look at the couple, and we're trying to give him free of charge solutions or really breaking prices solutions in order to make their life easier, starting the first step in life. And in that way, we're penetrating the market. We did it in the first thing by developing a system that wasn't existed before, that's solving some kind of a problem. But since then, actually, we learned much more, and we developed other platforms that serves mainly the couple.
If we're wrapping up, a lot of people are going to look at this video, and a lot of them have an idea to start a company. They have a dream maybe to start a startup. If you can look at them and give them your advice from where you are today, looking back, just your personal message to those who are starting this amazing and rough journey of starting a company, what would that message be?
Okay, I would say first, we are Israelis. We have this thing in ourselves that we have to create things, and we have to think forward. I mean, hope I'm not hurting no one, but sometimes comparing into American societies, working with Americans, they are sitting much more in boxes, and it's easier for us sometimes to look outside of the box. If you have this thing inside of you, then you are already there. Then I would say it's a very difficult journey. It takes everything out of you, really does. Your biggest demons, I mean, you're going through all the tests. There are no discounts, especially not here in this environment, especially not in the Israeli market. Israel is a very rough country because the market is very small. And you have to be creative, you have to be flexible. You can't be stuck in one thing that you thought in the beginning that would work, and then you have to change with the market. So I would say all things that we talked about would be relevant, being consistent and being honest. But if there will be one thing that I will put my finger now on it, it will be you have to have, I mean, I have this sentence that I'm saying it quite a lot with people I'm working with. And I'm saying that actually it's true. I'm not an expert in no field. I'm not an expert in nothing. There's one thing that I'm good at. I'm good at finding people that are good experts in what they do. And I'm succeeding somehow make them believe in what I want them, I mean, not in what I believe. I mean, and if I did succeed, so they join me to my journey, and we make it a joint venture. And this is how we came out of a one-man show into 30 people who are working today, really hard, and no doubt the biggest value, the biggest asset that a company has is their people, the managers, and until the last one of the last of the employees. So it will be a man of people, make networking, be honest, make people believe what you believe in.
Okay. Well, first of all, this was an amazing talk, and I believe that a lot of people that watch that now and will later watch the video will take different things from it, but it definitely carries on the one message, which is the one point in entrepreneurship. When you climb up the ladder, make sure to look back and see who's following you and reach out and help them and give them advice. So I really appreciate that. Everything you said is amazing.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming here.
Pleasure.
So let's thank Guy.